You get the walls set up and get basically a full lockout because it limits the amount of options that the defending team has, and on top of that, it looks as though at least for 4A here they do not have a dynamo, which is usually the way that you sort of keep things neutral when you're locked out like that. You get a dynamo up in the maze area behind the zone and start just flicking over. So what we'll be looking to see here, I think, is the wall users getting sort of set up with control. And just getting a lockout sorted out with the invincibility specials and all that.
Yeah, it looks like pretty similar comps there for the other team. The other team opting to use Wasabi instead, maybe going for a little bit more aggro wall user.
Yeah, it's interesting with the Wasabi because it doesn't have the same kind of firepower as the Tenatech. It doesn't have the Zuka, for example, but the Ink Strike is quite useful here as a way of sort of busting the courtyard area, and that's probably what we're going to be wanting to look for with the Wasabi here. 6, 5, 4, 3. Should be good? Alright, cool. Incidentally, I'm not actually. Oh wait, no, I did.
Yes, we do.
I was sort of just frantically trying to find his perspective, but yeah, we do have 4A in the lead right now. They've managed to get control, and we're going to be looking to see that wall set up if they can get it going. It looks as though the 96 went down, if I'm not mistaken.
Actually, yeah, no, Cherry's going to be coming here. Cherry is going to be able to get the pick there on the E-leader, which is really important in this situation because that E-leader is terrifying when you're trying to come out of street there. So looks like they're finally able to fight back a little bit and gain some control, but we do have a bubble here on the Zimmy. There it goes, and this should be... Oh no, the Cherry did have his bubble as well. I'm gonna throw that wall down and get out there. Oh my gosh, bubble battles, man, bubble battles.
Yeah, that was interesting there. The one of the bubbles didn't actually spread to his teammate. The Cherry's bubble didn't spread to his teammate there, which is really unfortunate because that actually, I think, is the reason why Purizuma, for want of a better pronunciation, managed to did in fact lose control there. Like they actually had this beginnings of a setup, and it looks as though they lost it, and it's back to a more even situation.
Yeah, Zimmy going to crash in here to the middle, and you can see from the marks right there, just the all four in the courtyard there for Purizuma, and they are going to get control. But we do have Zimmy with bubble, so we'll see when he decides to crash down with it. Maybe wait for his teammates to give him a little bit more support here. Just waiting.
Yeah, we saw... Oh, here we go. This might be it. They've got to be really careful here not to get picked off on the way in, because that's going to be the big problem. There's the Echo. That should be their entrance. And there they go. They got the disruptor on the Cherry, so that should be enough to drive them back. That was the main guy holding, and it should be a full team wipe, in fact.
Yeah, it was. They actually managed to crash in from that right lane there to pick them off there from the left.
And you see there a really good display of coordinated specials. They waited for the Echo, they got it built up, and the bubble came in, got the disrupt on the Cherry, who was the main guy holding the straight angle onto the zone, which meant that they could then come in from the sides. So that was really clinical play there from 4A.
Yeah, and it's, you know, it's, like you said, really clinical play, but they make it look easy. They do. It's just, they've done this so much time with this simple, stupid, and yet so hard at the same time. Yeah, I love watching these teams play.
Yeah, it looks like a sort of bit of a wash there on the bubble trade. We've got Wakaru meanwhile holding from the streets. Looks as though the advantage seems to be going in Purizuma's favor for the time being. They do have the numbers advantage, but they did lose one player, so we'll have to see if they can consolidate this control that they've just managed to get.
And I know something that's I'm sure making you happy. Especially here, Wakaru, he's not using the streets a whole lot. He's coming in from the side, and I know that's you happy is staying away from those streets in that situation.
Yeah, the streets are very tempting to go down because, like, you know, you lose control and you're like, you know, damn, I gotta get control back, and oh wow, that's a dropped bubble on the Cherry right there. But in exchange, it's a dropped, well, half an Echo from the raining burst bombs right there. But trying to retake from the streets is a big problem because it really leaves you exposed if the enemy team has any kind of way of like stalling you in there. It's very easy to get whaled out. It's very easy to get walled out. It's very easy to just sort of run into a bubbler and therefore a terrible fate. So it's great to see when teams are correctly retaking from the maze. However, an excellent snipe there from Purizma's sniper should be enough to give them the lead.
Yes, and that it is. They finally managed to take it here. A double bubble going up against the Kraken there. The power of invincibility specials, you know, we talk about it a lot, and some people think that we make a little bit too much of it, but they're meta for a reason. And they're Wakaru again going to go down to the Zinc Mini, and all the pressure finally paying off, although they do manage to take the zone, but now it's gone, now it's back, now it's gone again. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Might have enough time. Okay, they had control for just long enough that it'll extend overtime. Will it actually be enough?
Oh, that was the longest, that was the most powerful wall.
That was a sick wall. Right? That was that cherry. Damn. That was a crazy game. Normally, like, quite often you'll see games like Moray Zones just go into sort of this stalemate situation, but that was back and forth the entire time. Really impressive seeing, like, we have a couple of players there going with sort of negative scorelines, but a lot of that was just the fact that they were sort of the entry fragger, I guess, the person who got things started and started the pushes up. And that in turn, like, you could see the lockouts never quite established themselves, and that's partly because these teams are so good at coordinating their bubbles out of spawn and making things happen out of the maze. Like, you saw occasionally people would go down the streets to sort of reinforce a push from the maze, but like that was more of a follow-up rather than like the initiation. And that's the key thing on macro right there.
Yeah, I'm glad you pointed that out. Using the streets, that fast entry into the fray from the street, you know, a great boon, but
oh, we've got a disconnect.
Follow-up rather than the initiation. So, what is it that you look for in this map in terms of how you would attack the zone, how you would attack from the office, and how you would alternate that control?
Yeah, so as you said, the fans is the main thing. Like, the fans are... like, they do so many different things. First of all, they give you a vantage point over the zone that's really hard to deal with. Like, if people can climb up the sides of the fans, like on the sort of the backside toward the corner, but that is like one option. Like, that's the only option you really have. If you have control of the fans and you keep both of them raised, it's really easy to block off any kind of sniper attempts, especially since both of these teams do in fact have snipers. I think both of them do. I'm not sure if Purizuma is going to actually run this sniper, but they definitely do have one.
Yeah, they used that sniper some in the earlier rounds.
Spoilerino is they actually are not running a sniper on Purizuma, so this is going to be interesting. They have the Bento against no sniper. Now, this, I think, is really in favor of Purizuma, because when you have a sniper that isn't able to do anything because the fans are up and all that on this map, it's very difficult to do anything. Oh yeah, by the way, well, damn, it just went 0. Alright, RX wanting a countdown for
yeah, I saw it.
Or we can do that at the start. But yeah, so what I'm looking for in this map is if 4A loses control, how they get back in with the sniper, who's most likely going to have a lot of hard shots on his hands.
Yes.
And by the way, it is 4:55, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
All right.
Just hopefully Arik is able to catch up with that.
Yeah. Absolutely. So the Wasabi going at the fan very hard and down for trouble. So like we said, control the fans. Control them properly though. Yeah,
it's sort of very easy to find yourself cornered all of a sudden when the fan raises when you're sort of in the back section. And you can see, so 4A does indeed have control. Sorry, yeah, that is 4A that has control, yeah. Sorry, I sort of lost track of the stream I was watching. Remember, ooh, getting Celtier stuck in a corner, and that should be enough to get 4v1 right now for Purizuma. So again, this is where the sniper is going to need to step up, because he's going to have a lot of hard shots, and the only way he's going to be able to really pull his weight is by getting those shots just through the crazy angles. I'm sure he's capable of it, we're just going to have to see how it works.
Right, and it's doubly important with all the... we've been seeing so many invincibility specials, and I wouldn't say that a sniper's a hard counter to invincibility specials, but when it only takes one shot to kill, they don't have that, the time for the fast fingers reaction on the defense there for that. So as we finally see the Zinc going in. Not able. Okay, does get the kill on the Cherry. Does get the double. And wow, Celtier, what a great job of almost single-handedly turning this around. Going to be getting control back, and now he's set up shop in their street.
Yeah, that was a massive double right there. The Cherry, I don't think had bubble yet. I think he was pretty close to it though, because cherries tend to always be very close to bubble, as cherries are. But and now we see the Cherry isn't
exactly just that fast.
Yeah, the special advantage combined with the light depletion means that it's really easy for the Cherry to just get straight back in if he drops bubble. But they are maintaining control for now, so this looks like it could be. Oh wow, that was a fast flip! Holy hell! So, Foray has lost control for the time being, but they seem to be still clinging on. They aren't out of the mid yet, so... Oh, there they go. The Grim comes in from the side.
It was a really unfortunate situation for Celtier there. All three finally found their way to him as he was just kind of always said to see. So we go down to 3 extra squids. But yeah, like you mentioned, Purizuma in control now. And, well, now they have it back. You know, this map reminds me so much.
These flips are so fast.
They are. This map, earlier during one of the Mahi games, Zach and I talked about how when a lot of the zone also takes up a lot of the mid battlefield, it's just amazing how fast the tides can turn in this and how fast the situations can change.
Yeah, like you have the Inkstrike combination in with the it's quite often a dynamo. We don't actually see any dynamos in this, strangely enough.
Yeah, what?
But yeah, I know it's like, but there are dynamos everywhere. But no, like we see like the combination of just having a Zinc that paints so damn fast along with the Inkstrike, and it looks as though this is going to be an attempt at a recap. Purizuma takes the lead with a 2-kill, but it doesn't look like the fight's over just yet. We've got 3v3 in the mid right now, but it is ticking down to 0. Are they going to be able to take it back?
That was I know for a fact that Celti did not want to have to burn quick as he did. He's going to go down there to the Cherry, and it looks like Purizuma, once again, in a great situation. 4, 3, 2, 1, and that's going to be game 2 ticking away from there. And that Inkstrike, I don't know if Celtier didn't see that or what the situation was, but it looked like he had to pop his bubble, or at least he chose to pop his bubble to defend himself from that Inkstrike. But because of that, he had to pop it before the opponent's, the Cherry, popped his. So the timing of that was just really, really unfortunate for because you know they were trying to set something. They were trying to set something up there. You know it.
Yeah, and I think you actually saw there a couple of times the Grim was actually, because these guys, by the way, Purizuma actually has, like, their blaster player just mains Grim. He doesn't actually use CRB. I haven't seen him use CRB yet. You actually saw him getting a couple of the combo kills to just instantly pick off. I believe it was Ku who was getting picked off a lot of the time there. And on top of that, you actually saw, strangely enough, even though I said earlier on that the sniper is sort of a bit of a tricky thing on this map, you actually saw that the sniper went 8-1, so he wasn't really having the greatest of difficulty. It was just that the invincibility specials, because indeed there were 3 on 4A's team, didn't quite manage to, like, they just kept getting picked, basically.
He said he had to hit the shots, and I guess he did.
Yeah, so... Alright, so into the game on Hammerhead. We've got the same comp as always. The very fast bubble charge from Celtier.
And an even faster bubble charge from the opponent, it looks like.
Yeah, evidently. That bubble was just sort of waiting for the bubble to wear off. I think there might have been some duration on that, because that was a very long bubble.
It was a long bubble.
Maybe it was a double bubble, I don't know. There were multiple bubbles on both of these teams, so it's kind of hard to tell.
That Cherry Zinc combination you're seeing a lot of, both of the double bubbles and just the suppression power that both of them have, and they both seem to get their bubbles. Splat zones is the lane of the bubble, I guess.
Yeah, like the cherry isn't as fast to get in the bubble as the Zinc. Zinc can get one in well under 10 seconds. The Cherry less so. But the Cherry quite often is able to get that bubble charged up while the Zinc is bubbling the Cherry. So it's like a sort of, you Zinc bubbles first, and then maybe the Zinc dies or whatever. It doesn't really matter. The heavy depletion doesn't really matter when you have 0 special to begin with, and then the Cherry moves in with the second bubble and like just basically you're invincible for 15 seconds, which, I mean, that's enough to build another bubble on the Zink if he survives. So you can see right now, that exact thing has been happening right here because we've got a very strong lead here for Purizuma. However, the 3-player wipe has been enough to get control back to 4A's side. So we'll have to see how they get the lockdown here.
Yeah, a lot of green on this map, and you're just seeing right now both of the snipers kind of popped off. I mean, I'm just gonna stop calling out when bubbles happen because that's all I'll be saying the whole match. But it's, I don't know, this map is so interesting with regards to how you place yourself, because of course you don't want to be in the middle generally, because you know then you can get crashed in from the side. But at the same time, if you're not in the middle, there's a whole chunk of the zone that you can't really access as well, and of course there's the raised areas. So it's, I don't know, it's easy to see why this is flipped back and forth the way that it does. Perhaps not at the regularity that some of the other maps have, but let's just say I can understand why they have so many bubbles. It seems like there's always a bullet waiting.
Yeah, it's especially with the Cherry. Like, Cherry on this map can paint the zone so fast. Like, you just sort of shoot 4 shots and it's capped. And the Charger as well can do the same thing. And you can see the Plat is suddenly being invaded here, but the invader is repelled. The bubble is ready to go, so they have one push. They can actually get this happening. The Zink can ignore the Cherry. But the Cherry paints damn fast itself. Oh, we do get the cap, so 4A is in control again, but they can't really afford to lose control anymore.
And T-Tech finally coming in, getting the kill. That's the quick stealth jump player. Each team only gets one. Seeing it coming there for a really, really important kill, because it looked like 4A was about to get something started there after that kill on the Cherry. And now that map is blue again. But they have the zone again. Oh my goodness, such a flip. That's
yeah. See, that's the crazy thing with, like, I think all of these matches is just how fast the map tends to get painted. Like, you quite often will see that, like, it's not just the zone that flips; it's the entire map a lot of the time.
Yes,
you'll see that. Like, the map seems to be in one team's favor, like they've got a 3-man wipe or something, and then just all of a sudden, within 5 seconds, it's just turned the other team's color, and that's just how fast these teams are at painting the map. And you can see right now another push repelled. The Elite are going a little bit too hard there. Somehow the T-Tech. Oh, that was a Zuka. Okay. But it is ticking down. There's no more penalty, so can 4A clinch this?
Right now, I believe that's the Cherry that's going to come crashing in and try to make a play. Does get one, but they are going to be able to get the 3, 2, okay. 4A finally on the board there. I was a little bit scared there when he died there at the edge of the zone, but luckily it's a long, slender zone, and they were able to stay alive. And I think the big wall there probably helped keep a little bit of the ink out of the zone as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, you could see they were all coming in from the left side there, and like, that's kind of one of your only options on Hammerhead at the very end. Like, if you really need to make a desperation play, you need to sort of focus one side of the map and push across. Especially with, you know, your Cherry and your E-Leader and all that, just pinging the zone from that angle so quickly. But yeah, and you could actually see there's something I've mentioned. I know on Twitter, not necessarily on casting, but a lot of the Japanese teams have actually been a little bit I guess, hesitant to use regular super jumps. So obviously with stealth jump being restricted, having a regular super jump is quite risky, but at the same time, if you have someone sort of in the right location, you can jump to them even if it's sort of at a forward place. And you can see it a lot of the time here that both of these teams are actually using the non-stealth super jumps, which is really good to see.
Yeah, we had talked earlier about the power of beacons in a scenario like that, and how some teams may be using a little bit more beacons to counteract the lack of super jump, but we're not seeing that a whole lot, and quite frankly, we haven't seen it for a while in these later stages of the matches. So I guess they're just kind of, like you said, just not really jumping a whole lot, period.
Yeah, so as
they're so hard to kill.
Yeah, so the time is at 34, 3, 2, 1, in case we need syncing. And, well, 4A has control, so that's going to be... they got a solid 2-kill engagement, and they got the control off of that, but now it is a 2v2. So we'll be trying to... Well, I guess we'll be seeing if the... yeah, there's the jump out. It looks as though it is actually moving very much in Purizma's favor, though. All of a sudden, like as we were saying last game, the control just flipped so fast. And you mentioned the beacons, and I think a lot of that is just because the beacon weapons, aside from like the Octobrush, aren't really painting weapons. And so as a result, like you see these really fast retakes on the entire map, not just the zone. And a lot of these beacon weapons can't really do that. Like the custom emulator can't do that for sure. And it's sort of the only other thing that a lot of teams would really consider, given that Kraken's Kraken's sort of out of favor. And like you can just see how fast this gets retaken, and when that happens, like, yeah, the beacons are great, but you just like if the entire map's just getting painted in the enemy team's color, the beacon's just gonna be baited almost. So we see Purizuma taking control here. Looks like
they're getting pushed back incredibly. I wanted to comment there about just the aggression that all the way back. Okay, finally gonna get the jump out here, but you can see how purple that map is. There's almost no pressure coming onto. And a lot of times you'll see with with one of these two splat zone maps, you'll see kind of the cheeky little you're pressuring our zone, somebody over to pressure your zone counterplay, but right now there's almost nothing coming from that. And another jump out, they can't get anything started.
Yeah, the heavy depletion sort of working against them there, but at the same time the jump out does mean that the bubble will be guaranteed. So something that's interesting about this is that at that point there, just before where Purizuma briefly lost control, they actually had 2 members overextend. But they actually retained control with 2 players up against 4. And you can see even here, it's a 2v2 right now. It's just so difficult for one team to get a leg up over the other because they, like, for every amazing play on one team, you get another amazing play on the other to swing things right back. So even though we've just seen like a 2-kill for 4A against Purizuma, like they still haven't got control out of it yet.
Right, and even if some of these bubbles aren't necessarily resulting in the direct kills, they're stalling for long enough for these players who may have gone down a little bit. It's giving them time to get back into it. And Piranha Pit is a map where you're never too far out of the action because it's 2-zone, because you can get back in, because you have that little drop down with your grading. That's why we're seeing all this action. Is 2 go down there too? I think that was a custom range blaster. Oh man, that was bad.
That was a combination of the Grim with the Zinc right there, and yeah, that's going to be enough for them for Purizuma to take control of the map back. That was really unfortunate too, because that was the Zinc bubble drop, which I mean Zinc's build bubbles pretty quick, especially with special advantage, but losing that 75% is still a pretty big problem. You can see like the having to stall and again the cherry, just the jumping 3-shot pops the bubble again, or drops the bubble rather, and yeah, it's not looking great for 4A right now.
No, it's the cherry, their own cherry, going down there right now. All this purple right here that you can see, they're just kind of able to set up their sharks wherever they kind of keep raining bullets down. And I mean, you can see they're all marked here, but there's just no pressure on the zone. Finally going to stop that timer. Not able to... Wow. Not able to get the kill on anybody there, and that is going to cost them the game. 1-3 in favor of Purizuma.
Yeah, so that's the halfway point for Purizuma. They've only got to win 2 more games in order to take this tournament. I mean, 4A at the very end there, that was just sort of so unfortunate. Like, Celtier had 2 bubbles and he dropped both of them to the cherry. You can really see how like the cherry, even though it has its downsides, like the quick kill is very difficult to react to. And I kind of think that was on Celtier as well. He should have probably been popping his bubbles a little bit more preemptively. And I also kind of feel like the lack of grenades is a problem. Interesting that we've got a custom E-leader, by the way. We were just talking about the beacons, and, well, we've got a custom E-leader, and that's 4 invincibilities for 4A. So.
And it's incredible. Like, I feel one of the maps that I most commonly see is this Arowana Splat Zones. You see that a lot, a very, very small zone. 1 ink strike can essentially take it, but we're not going to be seeing either of those here. I guess the beacons make some sense with regards to close. It's a little bit less of a threat there than you could put the beacons in other maps, but I guess they just want to be able to crash into zone when they feel like it, which is why they're stacking 4 invincibility specials.
Yeah, I mean, you can't deny that invincibilities, especially against quick respawn, lack of quick respawn rather, are pretty damn useful.
Absolutely.
Like, this sort of reminds me of the like 2015 days where everyone just run bloody 96 deco in every team comp, like times 2 or 3. So like sort of what Quick Respawn deals with to a degree, but you know, it's sort of whatever at this point. And you can see that I think it's interesting that both of these teams aren't using the Dynamo. Like normally,
it really is. We've seen Dynamos all day, and today we get to Grand Finals, Dynamo the tournament, and then we don't see any Dynamos.
Yeah, and on top of that, it's like this map with Dynamo is such a strong thing, but you know, you can see that both of these teams, like, the invincibilities might be stacked for 4A, but they aren't able to get in just yet. Like, I don't think Celtia has died yet.
No, Celtia has not died yet, but he also hasn't been able to do a whole lot. I think he's gone through 2 bubbles now, and not a lot to come. Finally goes down to that Grim, who finally goes down to the Kraken as well. But 25, 24, 23, they're just going down further and further, and they're just not able to get anything built up.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate to see, because, like, you got to imagine that a lot of this might actually be coming from the fact that they do, in fact, have the custom E-Leader instead of the regular. They don't have the Echo Locator, and there it is, a straight 100-0 knockout. Purizuma made that look easy, in fact.
Look at that, Yellow. Look at that map.
Yeah, it's basically just 4 trails out of spawn, and then they won the game. So, yeah, you can see a combined total of 3 kills for 4A. That's not what you want to be seeing, although Arowana does lend itself to that kind of outcome.
Right, it's true. So, all right, I know there's a lot that needs to change, but what adjustment do they have to make? They're down 1-4. They're a game away from dropping the tournament after coming this far. What is it that they need to change up? What is it that they're just not getting done? It seems like they're able to get their specials, but it's just not necessarily in an effective manner.
I think the main thing with that last game was the fact that they didn't have the Echo, because at the start, like we were talking on Mackerel about how Celtia waited for the Echo before he went in with his bubble, and that was a key thing because it meant that he could just throw his disruptor exactly where the enemy team was hiding. The cherry sharking has been a problem in the last couple of games, and without the Echo to point that shark out and actually you know, get the disrupt on, get the bubble, and instant kill with the zinc or whatever, it's very difficult to make that sort of thing happen. And on top of that, I actually think a lot of this comes down to the fact that Purizuma has the Grim, which, I mean, I know a lot of people prefer the CRB, but the Grim is still, like, it's a blaster versus no blaster sort of thing, and the blasters are probably the best slaying weapons in the game. So not having the blaster is, I think, a big problem with this sort of invincibility-based comp. There's no sort of indirect fire, so people hiding around walls, you can't do anything about that.
Yeah, we've got a little bit of a ring around the rosy here that's gone on for about a good 15 seconds there. You saw 2 different bubbles get popped. Nobody has died yet from that initial exchange. But playing around the spinner here, finally, okay, we're going to see a little bit more Celtia going in here. Going to get picked off immediately by the other Zimmy, finally. But just seems like, once again, you know, they made that push. They got their invincibility specials. But once again, they didn't come out with they just didn't come out with the zone. You know, they've gotten position. They've taken their shots, and the shots just haven't hit.
Yeah, it's not great to see, but at the same time, like, that was still a 2v2 after that after Celtia went down, and a lot of these engagements are indeed going sort of relatively even, you want to say, but at the same time they just aren't getting control of the zone. They just aren't doing the objective. I think a lot of that is indeed due to the lack of grenades and the fact that it's so difficult for them to deal with some of these, like the blaster, for example. Oh, good pick on the Zinc, though. That should be enough to open up the map and get them a solid hold. It's not... I think that's only going to last for so long, though. The Grim is disrupted, so he can't really do any shenanigans. But it looks as though the spinner setup might be enough to sort of stall out until they can get Purizuma can get control back, and indeed they do.
Yep, they did get the control back, and that was kind of unfortunate. Maybe to start to come back in from a different position there, but the T-Tech had come down at that time, and along with another special, he just had to jump away. He does have his bubble now, however. My mistake, I believe that's a Wasabi rather than a T-Tech, but The idea that a fast shooter had jumped on onto the position and finally very good job. Able to move, able to crash in. I was worried that he was going to get surrounded there, but his teammate did help.
Yeah.
But once again, the cherry coming in. This cherry's everywhere. You mentioned it as a shark earlier. Yeah, it's pretty accurate. It seems to be pretty much everywhere he doesn't want to be.
Yeah, and on top of that, like every time you see 4A try to make something happen, it's just they never quite get control of the zone, and I think a large part of that is just because, like you saw when the zinc bubbled in, that he was just getting shot from all angles. He was getting pinballed all over the place, and it was his teammate who got the kill on the guy he was focusing. And now it's down to 10 points
seconds.
almost.
10 seconds away from the end of this, what could be the end of this tournament. They've got to get the zone now. Not able to get the kill right there, and that was Wasabi. There, to get the zone now. The cherry is back and respawned and alive.
They do have time.
They do stack the penalty. They're going to lose it immediately. But they're going to, I'm sure they're okay with at least buying themselves a little bit more time to play.
Yeah, I mean, that was sort of finally they managed to get something happening. The Wasabi stalled them for so long. Like, they could have very easily had control for an extra 10 or 15 seconds there, but the Wasabi just got the key pick on the spinner, and from there it's been difficult, I guess, for them to really make anything happen. They still don't have control right here because no matter what they do, it's like there's just grenades raining in. Like, there's splat bombs, there's burst bombs, there's presumably an ink strike at some point.
Yeah, I think
and on top of that, like,
I think the story of, like, I mean, you've said it several times with the grenades and the have to keep moving and keep installed. They're able to build up their invincibility specials, but they just aren't able to have the presence of paint that that a grenade would have.
Oh, there's the wall and the whale and
a strafing battle between the two Zimmies there, and Zimmy is going to get the kill there. That clock continues to tick down, but I think they're a little bit more worried about the clock in the top left corner of the screen. They've got just barely over 30 seconds left to play, and not a whole lot to show for it at the moment, unfortunately.
Yeah, you gotta see, like, with a lot of these times when Purizma's coming in, like they put a grenade or something on the zone and then go and try and find a kill. And actually, in fact, it should be, yeah, that was a 4v1 temporarily there, so 4A does get another chance to move in. He gets the bubble on the Grim. Great pick there. So the Zinc is sort of bubbling the other Zinc, and that's sort of what we saw a lot of in this tournament, I think. But overall, they do have control. So they are...
What? They lost it immediately?
Yeah. That ink strike. Wow.
Just when I was about to say they could cover the ink strike and finally be okay. A little bit earlier, I thought that was going to be the play they needed, but the real story of the tournament is how fast these flip. One ink strike, and I'm sure a few bullets from the left there just took it, and that's 1-5. That's it.
That was just instant. That was incredibly well coordinated right there. The ink strike on the right side and the Tenatech, Wasabi, and the bomb coming in from the left side, just instant recap on overtime, and that was it. That's SyCup. Thanks for playing, everyone.
Almost a little bit unceremonious there with just how methodical. That was surgical, honestly. I mean, there was a straight 100-0 there, and it just seemed like Purizuma always had exactly what they needed in the situation, and just like we talked about, the power of the paint that comes with those bombs, not really outplaying the power of invincibility specials, but I mean, there's something to be said for the presence and